What if I told you that you are not the sole reason why you're broke? In fact, here's how they, aka Babylon, keeps us all broke. Welcome back to the channel, people. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for making it Peter Lloyd World. Now, I told you that I'm normally extremely busy, so I'm going to try to do these videos once I have some time. And I'm currently heading in the rain to pick up someone very important to me. So, we are going to talk about how Babylon keeps all of us broke. And some of what I'm going to say is going to be very controversial. And look, my intention is not to offend anyone, but I can tell you some of what I'm going to say is probably going to offend some people. As you can see, people, it's raining like crazy. But the truth is, I kind of like the rain. For some reason, it pacifies me. It makes me feel comfortable. So, the first way in which Babylon keeps us broke, it's lack of financial education. Most of us know almost nothing about money. Money seems to be some mysterious thing that, I don't know, it's just some out there in the ether. And we simply can't comprehend it and understand it. And this has to be by design. It's very odd to me, I don't know about to you, that with all the education that we have had for centuries, no one thought that maybe we should teach people about this thing called money that we literally cannot exist without. The second way that Babylon keeps us broke is one that is pretty much terrifying if you think about it. You see, billions of us are being programmed to become consumers. And how is this being done? Advertisers have found a way to tap into our psychology, tap into our brain, our culture, our belief system. They have, with decades of research, they have found out the best ways to push our buttons, so to speak, so that we find out we need to purchase items. I'm sure that you have had moments in your life where you saw an ad and decided you needed this particular thing and you went out and bought it. And only maybe days later to say, why am I buying this? This is nonsensical. The truth is, you can't be too mad at yourself. These people, these corporations, spend billions of dollars with the best scientists, the best psychologists, psychiatrists, best sociologists. These people, and with the advent of social media, where you probably know that most social media collects your personal information, send it to the highest bidder. That information, your likes, your dislikes, etc. So you are fighting a system that has taught you literally, in the most literal sense of the word, this system is telling you that you need this item and you must buy it. So the fact is, we are being programmed to be consumers. In fact, we're programmed to be addicts. There is a plethora of people out there whose sole job is to use research on us to have us buy items that we truly don't need. This is the facts. So you end up buying all these clothes, all these shoes, all these items that ultimately have no real value and are a waste of your money. But here's the thing. Most countries, they make their money from consumerism. So if you look at the United States, for instance, the entire economy is driven by purchasing power, by people spending money buying stuff. That is how the entire US economy is designed. So it is in the best interest of all their government, etc., that you keep spending and buying stuff that you ultimately don't need. How do you fight the urge to purchase when you are being programmed, basically, by experts in the field? Here's what I'm going to suggest to you. 1, limit your time on social media. Me, I try to spend no more than an hour for the entire day on all social medias combined. That's going to be hard, but limit your time. 2, very important, probably more important than number 1. When you feel a desire to purchase something, that urge, that burning desire to purchase something, give yourself 24 hours before you buy it. often what will happen is that you'll cool down and you realize, I don't think I really need this item, so maybe I shouldn't buy it. All right, that's really important. Remember what I said. When you feel the urge to purchase, no matter where you are, take 24 hours, think about it, and then if you then still decide you want to buy it, then okay, maybe then. But in most instances, I guarantee you're going to realize, I don't need this item. It was just that urge to purchase. Thirdly, if you're one of those people who find that you have to purchase things for that high to feel better, to feel better about yourself, I don't know, maybe you're going through something emotional, something personal, whatever, because we all have our challenges, I would suggest that you take up a hobby that's something that you really enjoy, that is not expensive. Walk, run, jog, swim, whatever. Find something else to replace that high, because basically the problem with that kind of retail therapy, they call it, is that it leaves you broke and it puts you in a hole, and most people end up using their credit card to buy items they don't need. Now, the third thing that we're going to discuss is, for some people, going to be controversial, but it is factual. And I find it odd that when I see people do these types of videos, no one mentions this thing as if it just didn't happen. Let's say we're in a race. You are going to race Usain Bolt at his very best, if you know anything about racing. But here's the thing. You are going to run 100 meters. You're going to start at the starting blocks. But Usain Bolt is going to be running from 5 meters before the line. So he's running 5 meters and you're running 100. What's going to happen? What's going to happen is Usain Bolt is going to win. He has several massive advantages. The fastest man in the history of mankind. He has a world record in the 100 meters. And he's just 5 meters from the tape. This is what slavery did to people of African descent in the Western world. No one talks about this, but it's kind of odd. It's almost as if slavery happened a long time ago and that's it. But that's really not true. What slavery essentially did to most people of African descent is that it put us 400 years economically behind almost every other group of people. Let me explain. For 300 to 400 years, those persons who were enslaved got no kind of compensation at all, none. While the persons who were not enslaved, the owners, the other persons who worked on those estates, they were compensated. It means that they have a 200 to 300 to 400% financial advantage to most people of African descent whose ancestors went through slavery. In other words, they're literally 5 meters from the finishing line and we're starting 100 meters away. The second thing that I need to talk about the impact of slavery till today is that in many first world countries that practice slavery, persons of African descent were not given real opportunities to advance themselves economically. So they could not get loans to purchase businesses, to buy items that would better make them better from most banks. In fact, many banks had a policy of simply not lending money to these people. So if you are already 300 years behind economically, and now that let us say you became free and you're trying to move ahead economically, but you can't access all the other things that the other groups of people can access. You can't access proper loans, you are not allowed to purchase commercial items. And then there's a third factor that happened right up until very recently in many first world countries, particularly the United States of America, where those persons of African descent whose ancestors came out of slavery, who were able to build communities that were financially viable, feasible, and thriving, they were destroyed. They were destroyed by other groups of people. So the fact of the matter is, the impact of slavery on persons of African descent in the Western Hemisphere is absolutely real. It didn't stop at slavery. In fact, so literally, persons of African descent are 400 years behind the other groups. This is no joke. And the policies that exist up until recently, and in some places still exist, still makes it very difficult for persons of African descent. In fact, based on my recent reading, it is easier for a person of African descent in certain countries to get money to put themselves in debt, meaning buying cars, etc., than it is to get money to seed a business. The second part of that is the continent of Africa itself was put into a compromising situation. There was brain drain and physical labor drain. So that also created another massive problem regarding slavery and the people of Africa. Thirdly, and within the same realm of slavery, countries, I'm trying to find the right terminology, countries that extended themselves into other regions and took over those regions, exploited the labor force, exploited the natural mineral resources and other resources of those countries. So those resources went to the persons who came to these people's countries and basically exploited them. That again also put those countries way behind. It's very odd that no one talks about these things in terms of how Babylon keeps us broke, because that's a huge deal. As I said, if we're running 100 meters and I'm running against Usain Bolt and he's just going to run 5 meters to the line and I'm running from 100 meters, I have almost no chance. So the proof is in the pudding. Go out there and do your own research. What can we do about this? Well, what can we do about this is, I think fundamentally is we have to become educated in the system. We have to understand how finances work and use it to the best of our advantage. Now, the fifth thing that I want to talk about is definitely going to be controversial. Understand, I'm not trying to attack anyone's belief system and or their religion. But here's the truth. Many incredible religions, wonderful religions, have been, I'm trying to find the right word, adjusted. Aspects of those religions have been adjusted to keep people poor. Now let me explain. In some religions, and I'm not pointing out any one religion or the other, there's a belief system that for you to achieve nirvana or heaven, you cannot have money. The association is simply that if you are wealthy, you can't go to heaven and or nirvana. Now, since human beings tend to be deeply spiritual, this creates some really, really serious issues. Because the fact is, you cannot exist in the world as it is today without income. And in fact, the more income you are able to gather, the more assets you can put together, the better it is for you and those you care about. However, if you are deeply religious and you are of the opinion that acquiring wealth is tantamount to being evil, this is going to lead to many issues of self-sabotage. Self-sabotage meaning you unconsciously do things to ensure that you never ever have money because you want to achieve nirvana. Nirvana, of course, is another word for heaven. Now, I'm not saying this is directly a result of the religions. I'm simply saying that persons have adapted aspects of these religions to manipulate us into believing that wealth is evil and wealth means you cannot achieve heaven. And if you look around it, you'll see that this is true. Now, how do you combat this? Well, obviously that makes no sense because you can't concede. You have to concede that you cannot exist without income. You cannot exist without money in today's world. It's not possible. And the fact is, in many of these religions, for instance, there are misunderstandings or misinterpretations of terminology. So I believe in the Christian religion, it is the love of money. But many people quote money is the root of all evil. Money is an object, people. A car can't be evil. A hammer can't be evil. A paint, these are just objects. They can't be evil. They don't possess intelligence as far as we are aware. So what you have to do is understand within yourself that this idea that wealth itself is evil it's nonsensical. And I do not believe that this is what these religions meant. It is people who, for their own personal reasons, have decided to use these religions to manipulate us. And here's something that's very important. I have been fortunate enough to know a lot of very wealthy people and a lot of people who are not wealthy. I've just met bad people in both. I've met people who are absolutely broke and have been broke their entire life and they're horrible human beings. And I've met people who have wealth and they're horrible human beings. I do not believe income is a reflection of your spiritual state of mind. And as I said, this is not meant to offend anyone. It's just a fact. It's another way that Babylon keeps us broke. The sixth way that Babylon keeps us broke. Jamaicans have a saying, we say in Jamaica, one hand can't clap, which, obviously means one hand can't actually clap. It's kind of self-explanatory. The system over the years has taught us to be individualistic, all about being the individual. And we often have the impression that people accrue wealth or financial freedom, which is really what we're talking about, to be honest, on their own, with no assistance from anyone. They do this on their own. My observation in life has been that groups of people who work together with the same goal tend to achieve that goal much, much faster. So there are communities that I've come across who the acquisition of wealth or the acquisition or achieving financial freedom happens way quicker, simply because it's not just one person trying to forge ahead. It is a group of people who work in unison to move forward. Babylon teaches us the opposite. Babylon tends to give us the impression that these people somehow did this all on their own with no assistance from anyone else, no wisdom being passed on to them, and they just did this in a vacuum. And that's impossible. In almost nothing you are going to do in your life you can actually achieve without the assistance of other people. Well, obviously I've been here for a while, people, because the rain is still falling. Okay, but here is the seventh and final way. Now there are other ways, but we're just going to do seven. I think is more than enough. The seventh way that Babylon keeps us broke. Now, I don't know if you notice, but when you follow social media, particularly on this platform and several other platforms, you notice that there are people who are always screaming that the sky is falling. Now, if you don't understand what I mean, is that the headline is always negative. Recession ahead. Stock market about to crash. Terrible correction. Inflation out of control. I mean, it never ends. It literally never ends. Now let me explain how this impacts you in terms of your finances. Fear. You see, psychologists have found out, and therefore marketers have found out, and therefore vloggers and YouTubers and people like us, we've found out that the best way to get your attention is fear, is to tell you that something horrendous is going to happen. What this does to most of us is that it cripples us. Now, I have a very good brethren who is very good at saving, and I've been saying to him for years, boss, saving is important, but you must invest. And he keeps coming back to me and keeps saying, oh my God, the stock market, I hear it's about to crash. Oh my God, the inflation is out of control. Oh my God, recession is coming. I mean, even now, recently, we have heard that inflation is now under control in the United States, and seems to be under control in Jamaica and several other parts of the world, some parts of the world. And immediately start saying, but a recession is coming. What it does and what it's done to my friend is that he has never invested. He's never invested because he's constantly concerned that the sky is falling. Here is the thing. Let me just dispel some facts. If you invest, you're going to lose money at some point. That's how this works. You know what I'm saying? Just like if you walk, at some point, Jamaicans would say you buck your toe. You're going to fall. It happens. It's a part of life. All your relationships, your love relationships are not going to all end up in happiness. In other words, there's going to be some negative with the positive. But here's the thing. The key to achieving financial freedom is that what you have to start doing at some point is that you have to start. Fear cripples us, so we just don't want to do anything because we are so afraid that we just don't want to do anything. And when you see the skies falling, these people say, oh my God, the recession, oh my God, the stock market, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You're hearing this constantly. You are so terrified, you can't do anything. So the seventh way they keep us trapped and being broke is by manipulating us emotionally through fear. They keep us terrified and afraid. But here's what I've learned. I've learned that investment is long term. You have to control your emotions. You have to be patient. Those are three very important things. What is your goal ultimately? Because let me say this to you. The stock market is going to crash. At some point, this happened. This is inevitable. It always does. Sometimes every 10 years, every 8 years. It's unpredictable, but it's going to crash. There are going to be corrections in the stock market. Some investments will not pan out. That's why you diversify. You don't put all your money in any one thing. But you can't allow fear to cripple you, because that way Babylon keep you broke. You have to start investing, and I would suggest you start right now. I don't care if you're 10 or 90. Start today. Do not let them manipulate you by telling you that the sky is falling every minute. Now, thank you for sitting down with us with this video. Yep, the sun has finally kind of come out and the rain has eased up. This is Peter Lloyd World, and we have just been talking about the 7 ways that Babylon keeps us broke. And the fact is, you can overcome every single thing. You know, the key to all of these people is information. Knowledge is really powerful. Once you start being aware of these things, because the reason for doing this video is to have you, make you aware that these things are designed to keep you broke. And if you, to break the cycle, what you have to do is educate yourself. Now, thank you for making a Peter Lloyd World of Wealth. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and share. Tell other people that we're building a community here that is going to lead to financial freedom and eventually wealth. My name is Peter Lloyd. Thank you for being here. Bless up.